Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing in looking at a specific journey, about 22 kilometers from Sarria to Portomarin. It's this stretch where, well, where nature, massive engineering, and just layers of history seem to collide.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, our sources really highlight this route. Lush landscapes right next to some pretty intense medieval history. And it all leads up to this incredible story of an entire town being moved because of water.
Right. So our mission then is to kind of unpack how things survived here, how history adapted.
Exactly. We'll look at two main things. First, a specific spot tied to the identity of a major military order. And second, this amazing, almost unbelievable effort to save a medieval town, literally stone by stone, from a reservoir.
Okay, let's start right outside Sarria. You leave the town, and pretty quickly you're in these beautiful rural landscapes. Lots of native forests. We're talking carballos, right? The Galician oaks.
Yes, exactly. These dense oak groves, carballos, they really define the landscape as you pass through places like Barbadello and into the Paradella area, specifically Escortes Parish. It feels very peaceful, very green. But underneath that, there's this historical weight. You feel it in the architecture.
Yeah, I mean, you see some lovely Romanesque churches like Santiago de Barbadello or Santa Maria in Ferrero's Hamlet. Small but significant.
True, but the real historical core, at least for this part of the story, is in Escortes.
That would be the church now called Santa María del Hoyo.
That's the one. Our sources flag this as the Casa Madre, the mother house.
Of the Order of Santiago de la Espada. That's huge, isn't it? Linking this fairly remote spot to such a powerful medieval order.
It is. Now, technically, the order was formally founded later, 1170, down in Extremadura. But the identity, the kind of unique character of the order that was forged here, Santa Maria del Hoyo, it seems, was the site of the original religious community that gave the order its distinctive nature.
And that distinctive nature was this dual role, right?
Yeah.
We're just knights.
No, exactly. They were both clerics and knights. Warrior canons, essentially. It was a blend of military power and religious function that wasn't quite typical.
And our sources say that specific mix came from here, from Escortes.
Precisely. It seems to stem from a specific fusion. You had this warrior community from Cáceres merging with the local religious group, the Canónigos del Hoyo, the Canons of Hoyo.
Wow. So this quiet walk through the woods isn't just scenic. It's like walking through the birthplace of a whole medieval identity, a powerful one.
It really puts that little church in context, doesn't it? It connects this, seemingly simple rural path straight to the big leagues of medieval politics and religion. The HQ might have been elsewhere, but the spirit started right here.
Okay, so that's one major historical layer. But then the landscape and the story, it changes quite dramatically.
It does. As you start heading down towards the Minho River, you're approaching modern Portomarin. And that's where we hit the second major historical pivot.
Which is the Belazar Reservoir.
Yes. Modern infrastructure versus medieval town. And infrastructure won, in a sense. The original Portomarin, the medieval one, is now under the water.
Gone. Submerged.
Completely. The town you visit today was built entirely from scratch, up on higher ground in the 1960s.
Just imagine that. Your whole town, your ancestral home, just flooded, abandoned for a new site.
It's staggering. And, the sources confirm something quite haunting happens.
The ghost town reappears.
Sometimes, yes. Especially in summer, when the water level in the reservoir drops significantly. You can apparently see the outlines, the foundations.
And even parts of the old Roman medieval bridge over the Minho.
Exactly. Bits of history literally surfacing when the weather's driest. It's quite poetic, in a way.
It really poses that big question, doesn't it? When progress demands a sacrifice like this, what do you save? How much of the past can you rescue?
And the answer in Portomarin is just remarkable. This wasn't just about building new houses. There's this incredible preservation effort.
Focused mainly on one building.
Primarily, yes. The fortress church of San Nicolao, which is now called San Juan in the new town. A massive, stone, monumental building. The heart of the old town, really.
And this church, San Nicolao, it also had those military religious roots, like the Order of Santiago we talked about.
It did indeed. It originally belonged to the Order of San Juan de Jerusalem.
Which later became the Order of Malta.
Correct. So again, layers of significant history packed into this one structure. Saving it was clearly seen as vital.
And the artistic value was high, too. Something about Maestro Matteo.
Yes, that's a crucial point from the sources. It wasn't just any old church. It was built by a workshop of disciples of Maestro Matteo.
Okay, remind us why Maestro Matteo is such a big deal.
Well, he's the genius behind probably the most famous piece of Romanesque sculpture in Galicia, maybe Spain, the Portico de Gloria at the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral. Absolutely iconic. So the fact that San Nicolao came from his workshop, his influence, it meant the church carried this incredibly important artistic legacy. They weren't just saving stones, they were saving master craftsmanship, monumental art.
And how did they save it? This is the bit that blows my mind.
Stone by stone.
Literally.
Literally. They didn't build a copy. They dismantled the original fortress church piece by piece, numbered every single stone.
In the 1960s.
Yeah.
Without, laser scanning and all the tech we have now.
Exactly. Meticulously numbered, cataloged, transported uphill, and then painstakingly reassembled in the new town. Perfect.
The sheer logistics, the manpower, the risk of getting it wrong.
It's hard to fathom, really, ensuring every arch fit, every carving was placed correctly. It's an act of profound cultural commitment achieved with mid-20th century engineering.
It makes you realize this ancient building you see today was actually rescued, relatively recently by engineers and preservationists just a couple of generations ago. It gives the new town a powerful link to its past, despite the flooding.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just the church, though that was the main event.
What else did they save?
Well, they also moved the entire facade of another church, San Pedro, saved that from the water.
Okay.
And perhaps most symbolically, they rescued one arch from that original Roman bridge over the Minho.
The one whose ruins sometimes reappear.
That's the one. They took one complete arch and rebuilt it in the new town, near a little chapel, the Ermita de Santa Maria das Neves.
So it stands there now.
Yes, like a piece of stone memory. A tangible link to the river crossing that defined the town for centuries, preserved up on dry land.
So pulling this all together, this stretch from Sarria to Portomarin, it really shows incredible resilience, doesn't it?
It really does.
From that forest birthplace of the Order of Santiago's identity, right through to this massive modern engineering feat to save Portomarin's heritage.
It's a story about history surviving, adapting. Sometimes through ideas and identity, like the order, and sometimes through sheer physical effort, like moving a church. Monumental survival against the odds.
Before we wrap up, though, there's a nice little detail about modern Portomarin. It's not just about submerged history.
Ah, yes, the aguardiente.
Exactly. The town is actually famous now for producing one of Galicia's best-known spirits. Explain what aguardiente is again.
It's a spirit distilled from grape pomace, the skins, seeds, stems left after grapes are pressed for wine. Bagazo, they call the pomace. It's very traditional, very Galician.
And they love it so much in Portomarin, they have a festival for it every year.
That's right. So the town isn't just looking backwards at its dramatic past. It's very much alive, celebrating its local produce, its traditions, a nice blend of old roots and new life.
A true synthesis.
It is. But maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
Reflecting on that incredible effort to move San Nicolao stone by stone back in the 60s. They did it because they judged that building, its history, its art to be irreplaceable, worth the immense effort.
Right.
So the question is, what things that we build today are modern skyscrapers, stadiums, bridges, whatever? What contemporary structures would we as a society deem valuable enough to undertake that kind of monumental preservation effort if they were threatened? What warrants that logistical miracle today?
It's actually a really challenging question.
Yeah.
What do we build now that we'd fight that hard to save? Something to definitely think about.
Yeah.